Well, good morning. This is Ian Crane, and as you can see this morning, I'm not in my usual outside location, but that's primarily because I'm in the middle of preparation for what's coming over the next 36 hours or so. Well, this morning is Wednesday, October 2000, and the title of it is actually a series of events called Democracy, and this is leading up to AV 9.1, which will be held in central London on Sunday, the 2nd of December. And details of this will be available on the Alternative View website later on today. But tomorrow is a very, very significant day in terms of raising awareness of just how the hypocrisy effectively subjugates democracy. And it's more and more people are starting to realize that what they thought they lived in, i.e. a democracy where they voted for their elected representatives who then looked after their best interests, they're now starting to realize, of course, that is a total charade. So tomorrow morning, I shall be at Newcastle Crown Court to support Mark Steele. Now, I know there's people coming from all over the country to support Mark tomorrow. I know there's people coming up from Devon, from London, and of course, a lot of people from around the northeast of England. This is very important because Mark Steele is absolutely on point in terms of raising awareness of the dangers and not just the hazards, but the very serious health risks associated with the microwave frequencies that are being used in 5G test areas and will be rolled out right across the country in late 2020, early 2021, unless the people of this country actually start to ask the right questions. And of course, a little over 2 months ago, Gateshead Borough Council managed to get a court injunction against Mark Steele, preventing him from discussing the 5G tests and the LED street lighting in Gateshead. And Mark has promised that tomorrow's hearing will be explosive. And I can absolutely and categorically assure anyone who comes along that Mark has done an enormous every single observation that Mark makes in court tomorrow will be substantiated by academic or scientific supporting documentation. And to see, of course, where Kerry have effectively been to protect the local authorities and the corporations in the 5G rollout, or they do the right thing and recognize that Mark has been asking valid questions, and the officers and elected representatives of Gateshead Council have done everything they possibly can to avoid answering those questions, even to deny the validity, despite the scientific and academic evidence that is in the public domain. So that's at Newcastle Crown Court, which is on the quayside, Newcastle upon Tyne. The postcode is NELA. The people are going to start to gather outside the courts at 9:30 tomorrow. So if anybody watching this, if you have media contacts who you think that they should be monitoring this and reporting upon it, I mean, I know that the local Chronicle will be there, but whether any of the nationals decide to report on it remains to be seen. So that's a full day hearing. This is the substantive hearing to review whether or not this injunction remains in place, or of course democracy and justice prevails, and the injunction is able once again to ask Gateshead Council the appropriate questions. So that's in the northeast of England. And then also tomorrow is a very, very significant day within the anti-fracking campaign, because thanks to the phenomenal work that has been undertaken by a small team led by Helen Chunso over the past few months, the injunction granted last week to prevent Quadrilla from firing up the pump trucks at Preston New Road. That injunction is, or the initial discussions will be heard in the Royal Courts of Justice in London. That's in the Strand, and the postcode there is WC2ALL. So nearest tube there, Temple. Just come out of Temple tube station, turn left, walk up the hill, and you're pretty much right opposite the Royal Courts. So this is scheduled to start at 2 o'clock, and I know people are going to be gathering outside the Royal Courts from about 1 o'clock. Now, Francis Egan has been somewhat dismissive of this injunction, claiming that it's a last-ditch attempt to prevent Quadrilla from fracking. Well, actually, no. And in fact, had Francis Egan and Quadrilla been paying attention, then actually they've been given plenty of opportunity over the last 6 months to address these issues, but they have singularly failed, deciding instead to operate, as we know they normally do, on the proverbial wing and a prayer. So there are no evacuations. The Lancashire Resilience Forum, which has a response working with heavy industry, with potentially dangerous industry in the area. None of these bodies have been consulted. Lancashire Fire and Rescue certainly haven't been consulted. The local schools have no evacuation plans. And so consequently, the bottom line is that Francis Egan and Quadrilla have demonstrated once again that they are little more than just a cowboy outfit. And of course, you know, we are now entering into the last 2 weeks of the consultation period to respond to the government proposition to make exploratory drilling permitted development. And so if anybody, a better example of how the Tories in particular are in the hock of the corporations, this is a classic example. And in fact, this emanated from a joint ministerial statement that was issued back in May, and that was following the decision at the planning meeting in North Yorkshire, where it was decided that the 800-metre exclusion zone between any residential property to any drilling activity. And of course, the industry with its lobbyists went straight down to Parliament. Within literally a few days, we got a joint ministerial statement. Then we get a proposition to make exploratory drilling permitted development. And the good news is that this has sparked interest right across the country, and parish councils, district councils and county councils are all unanimous against. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, please, but I am not aware of a single local authority that has voted on this issue that has had any more than the odd vote in favour. In almost all cases, it's been a unanimous rejection. So don't think for 1 minute that what's occurring here isn't part of a much, and over the coming at how the corporations have effectively subjugated democracy. The definition of freedom by the corporatists is one where they can operate with flagrant disregard for the health and well-being of the wider community. And the corporatists absolutely acknowledge that their and democracy cannot exist by side. So democracy has to be suppressed and ultimately destroyed to create the corporatist utopia where obviously a few people get extremely wealthy by pillaging the resources, and that includes the human resources that they see as their inherent right. So at the AV 9.1 conference on December the 2nd, there will be, participating will be some of the most significant analysts and commentators, and we'll be looking at that event at the non-Brexit and of course how this corporatist agenda will be continued to roll out. We'll be looking at the language that is used. We'll be looking at the scripts that academics have shared with financiers to bring about this corporatist utopia. It means hell on earth for everyone else. So tomorrow, very, very significant day in raising awareness of the magnitude of the corporatist grip on British society. So that's Newcastle Crown Court at 10 o'clock tonight at 9:30. Like I said, people coming from all over the country. I know there's people traveling up from the southwest today to be sure that they are there at 9:30 tomorrow morning. And unfortunately, that's an all-day affair in Newcastle, so it's not even going to be possible to hot-foot it down to London. But of course, I and everyone else if we can't be there in person, in spirit, and we'll be trusting that the judiciary will do the right thing tomorrow. That's the right thing for the wider population, not the right thing for the global corporatists. So thanks for joining me this morning, and obviously the live stream tomorrow will be perhaps a little delayed. We'll either do one from outside the court in the morning, but if we're not able to do that, then we'll do it after the court hearing in the evening. And obviously there will be updates on Twitter from both courts during the course of the day. So obviously, if you don't follow Drill or Drop, that's the place to monitor what's occurring in London. That's Ruth Hayhurst's Twitter account, or my Twitter account, which is at Ian R. Crane. So thanks for joining me tomorrow, or this morning rather, and hopefully you'll be able to join us in one of the two locations, either London or tomorrow. And if you miss the live event, I will absolutely be back at 8:30 on Friday morning with an update on those two cases. So thanks a lot. You have a good day. Take care now.